Hi, welcome, and it's the 3rd of June. Yep, it's a public holiday today, right around Thailand. So if you want to do things like banking, you're going to have to go to a shopping centre where the banks will still probably be open. But public offices, immigration, they're all going to be closed. Speaking of immigration, I pulled down the Saturday program because I realised pretty soon, well, even after or during, while I was doing the program, that we were publishing things that sort of weren't happening. Specifically, the announcement last week that the new the extension of the visa exemption from 30 to 60 days was meant to happen on the 1st of June. That was what was announced by the Foreign Ministry. And then there's been a whole lot of other information since and a lot of interpretation of that. And then people were starting to arrive. There's Daisy somewhere there in the background. People were starting to arrive on Saturday, the 1st of June, and sending me pictures of their 30-day stamp saying, what's going on? Not that a lot of people that were arriving on Saturday had booked their flights since last Wednesday when all this was announced. Anyway, these are some of the things I was reading. I mean, I noticed up the top, for example, it says, this is from the Foreign Ministry, by the way, effective date of the new measures will be announced upon the completion of final legal procedures. Well, that's not what they said last Wednesday when they announced all this. They were saying the 1st of June for the visa exemption. But there were other problems. For example, if you have a look at the visa exemption 60 days, you've got countries, and there's plenty of others, like India there, and we've also got like Kazakhstan, more about Kazakhstan later. But then when we go over to the visa on arrival list, it also includes India and Kazakhstan. And there was other duplication on that same list, principally the reason why I took the video down. But we also go to the Royal Thai Embassy in the UK, and this is still up. Gov.uk, and this is about foreign travel advice for Thailand. And here we are, visa requirements from the 1st of June. That's last Saturday. British passport holders will be able to arrive visa exempt for a period not exceeding 60 days. And that's pretty much the information that we were publicising last week for 93 countries, which was up from some 57 countries on the visa exemption program. Anyway, we're going to go to the Public Relations Department of the Royal Thai Government, and this was published last Friday. Visa facilitation measures to stimulate Thailand's economy and tourism, and there are 5 short-term measures expected to take effect in late June or early July 2024. So from Wednesday to Friday, the June the 1st, it's all going to happen then, had sort of changed to this sometime later in the month, maybe early July. And extending visa exemption for tourists and short-term business visitors for a period of up to 60 days, from a period of 30 for passport holders from 93 countries, increasing the number of countries and regions whose passport holders qualify for visa on arrival. That's going from 19 countries to 31, and they'll be given 15 days, I believe. Number 3, introducing the new Destination Thailand visa. A lot of people appear interested in this, and I must have got, 50 messages over the past couple of days with their own interpretation of what they thought the DTV was, and they were all different. So we are waiting for more details on this one. And it says this is for long-term travel, digital nomads, and participants in certain cultural activities with a period of stay up to 180 days per visit on a multi-entry basis within 5 years. Well, that's as clear as mud, so we do need some more details on that. I think that's going to be very popular if they can sort it out. Improving the non-immigration visa, specifically the ED visa, to facilitate the travel of international students and those nearing graduation. And 5, establishing a visa policy committee. Oh, great, we need another committee. And then medium-term measures would be grouping and streamlining non-immigrant visa types. This includes the ones that we renew annually for another 12 months. And they were talking about the 17 types of visas being brought down to only 7. Again, we don't know the details. Lowering health insurance requirements, expanding the list of countries eligible for long-term non-immigrant visa applications, and then implementing the e-visa system at all embassies and consulates by December 2024. So buying a few more computers for embassies around the world. So that's from the Public Relations Department. That's the latest information that I have. Was published last Friday. We are waiting for details, but we still have people arriving at the airport expecting maybe 60-day visa exemption, only getting 30. With thanks to our sponsors, firstly, 5-Star Marine at 5starmarinephuket.com. If the weather continues like this, it looks like we're going to have a week of slightly cooler temperatures, a little bit overcast, light winds. Perfect to head offshore. And also Beach House Thailand for those 3 bespoke, right on Phang Beach, beach houses. And there's links for bookings, and so you can see some photos down there in the description. Let's head to Pattaya now. From pattayamail.com. Pattaya to regulate parasailing operators amid growing safety concerns. It's just one of those stories that comes up every 3 or 4 years and they have a stab at it. Currently, parasailing operators in Pattaya have diversified their services to include fishing, squid fishing, jet skiing, floating playgrounds, banana boat rides, sunset photography. But the increasing number of accidents involving these activities has raised significant safety concerns. So we're going to have a meeting focused on developing comprehensive guidelines and regulations to ensure the safety of tourists. You might have thought there were already comprehensive guidelines and regulations. Maybe not. It says parasailing operators will be informed of the new guidelines, I'm sure they'll be happy to know, and required to provide insurance coverage for their activities. So before you strap in and get dragged up into the sky on that piece of nylon, make sure you read the fine print. From memory, I've seen this happen many times. I think they pay 2,500 baht for the pleasure, and it only lasts about 2 minutes. So money well spent, well, that's up to you. But pretty popular with tourists. Over the years, I can only remember 1 or 2 highly publicised, one was a death and one was an injury, but it looks like there's been some up in Pattaya, although we haven't reported any, so interested to know if any of them were serious, but something must have happened to will spur the mayor to put together another committee. Now, one story that's been a bit quiet for the last week, blissfully, but it's come back up and it's up to me to give you the details. Now, it looks like there certainly is what only I can describe as a purge on cannabis at the moment. Let's go to the Bangkok Post. And the story's headed, weed treatment costs jump to 20 billion baht. This is from the ministry. So the headline's pretty opaque. Let's see what the story says. Cannabis-related treatment costs rose from 3 billion to 20 billion baht last year due to a surge in usage among the population, according to the Public Health Ministry. And during a public hearing last Saturday on cannabis use and its effects on society, the new minister, Somsak, said that since its decriminalisation, more people have been getting sick and suffering from mental illness. He added the government sets an annual budget for treating people under the Universal Health Care Program. The minister said the budget for the treatment of patients who used cannabis jumped from about 3 billion baht since cannabis was delisted from a narcotic drug to 20 billion baht last year. He said this is very high and makes us worried about cannabis use. Now, I can see all the cannabis activists and enthusiasts bristling when they're hearing this, but brace yourself, it's about to get worse. The article says, in addition, research in the US found the IQ of children dropped 8 to 9 points after they used cannabis, as the plant affects brain development in children. And the hearing on Saturday, which brought together youth, doctors and medical bodies and civil society networks, was part of the government's attempt to relist cannabis, especially cannabis buds, as narcotics by the end of the year. The current regulation, and this was what happened back in June 2022, only lists cannabis extracts with more than 0.2% THC of total weight as a narcotic. And it's that line that's really caused so much confusion and been interpreted in so many ways that's caused the proliferation that's happened here in Thailand. Now, people putting their names on the line here from the Substance Abuse Academic Foundation, they said 7,700 cannabis shops had opened nationwide since the plant was legalised. And he said a survey conducted in a Western country showed that 40% of heroin users started their drug journey using cannabis. Now, it's all very well making those claims, but the more extraordinary the claims, the more important it is to actually quote which country and quote the organisation that conducted that research. And that information isn't in this article. Who said research in the US found people get addicted to the use of cannabis, which leads to mental health problems and can lead to IQ reduction and mental disorders. Now, I've got a member of the Psychiatric Association of Thailand said using cannabis might lead to suicide attempts by heavy users, and the substance from the plant can contaminate breast milk. And there's still more. We've got a representative of the Youth Network Against Cannabis saying the public awareness of cannabis usage was low, and some think the plant can be used anywhere since it's legal. And the misunderstanding led to community-grown cannabis as well as misuse of the plant, including ingredients of it being mixed with snacks, which were then eaten by children without their knowing. So this purge against the plant is continuing. It looks like that event over the weekend really, I suppose, used to publicise the negative side of the cannabis decriminalisation a couple of years ago. A lot more to come up in that story, noting that in 1 week's time it'll be 2 years since Anaton Charvitikun originally delisted that plant from the narcotics Category 5 list in Thailand. And thanks for the great numbers over the past week. Been a couple of big stories, which of course has helped. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. Now, we go to this story, and it's the inaugural flight of a new airline to Thailand, and the name of the airline caught my attention. This is from the TAT, the Tourism Authority of Thailand. TAT welcomes Scat Airlines' inaugural Almaty to Suratani charter flight. Almaty is the former capital of Kazakhstan, but I was slightly fascinated by that name Scat, which is a style of jazz playing and also something else. The TAT is pleased to welcome Scat Airlines' inaugural direct charter flight from Almaty to Suratani, and the TAT Executive Director for the Europe region said Scat Airlines' new Almaty to Suratani flight will cater to the increasing number of travellers from Kazakhstan while presenting more options for visitors from the Commonwealth of Independent States and Russia. There's going to be 13 flights on the route between May and September, and it's using a 220-seat Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. Kazakhstan is one of Thailand's fastest growing markets and is also the second largest market in the Commonwealth of Independent States after Russia. Kazakhstan, of all countries. I think people might be interested to know that over the past year, certainly the last 18 months, we've often seen Kazakhstan in the top, certainly the top 10, sometimes the top 5 of the countries with the most number of tourists coming to Thailand. Looks like we're going to have more coming to the south of Thailand, this time through Suratani. Every time I'm at the Phuket airport, I see the Astana Airlines with one of their jets parked out the front. So plenty of Kazakhs heading into Thailand at the moment. Thanks for dropping in. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand. Have a fantastic Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.